Tokoroten jelly! Cold Tokoroten jelly, it's very fresh!
Hi, Genbatsu. I'd like some jelly.
Excellent.
Not that Tokoroten jelly would cool me down in this humid weather. By the way, isn't there a friend of yours who's a Ronin? His name's something like Ryudo, right?
That's right. Why do you ask? Did something happen to him?
I had a customer yesterday with the name Ryudo. Is everything okay, sir?
This is the first time I've drank sake.
What?
Excuse me.
Wait, surely you didn't come here just for the sake?
I'll come back.
All right, but we must have met for some reason. At least tell me your name.
Ryudo. My name is Yukiyatsu Ryudo.
You're positive? He said Yukiyatsu?
I remember because of the family name. It's unusual.
Maybe he has a younger brother. But it's odd that they would have the same name.
I no longer have that sword. And I don't need this either.
I don't believe it. The roads in Edo are just... huh? What's this? What'd you do that for?
It's all over now. I'm no longer Yukiyatsu Ryudo.
Did he say Ryudo?
The meat we got from Ogu should last a bit longer without having to dry it.
When was the last time we were able to get yoi meat?
That's a good question. When we took out the yoi mask, there were too many people around. We were in too big of a hurry when we were in Nikko.
And that butterfly in Yoshiwara just vanished into thin air. That makes this our first catch in 2 months. Better dry it before weather spoils it. I seared everything a little bit as well. When we dry it, the flavor will really come together.
An excellent plan. This how you want to catch bad guys now? You really think throwing money at a yoi is gonna work for us?
Are we not paying you enough? Are you in debt now? You know how embarrassing that was?
Huh? What'd I do now?
I just had the police pay a little visit to the estate again. Ryudo ate food without paying for it? Apparently he walked into the restaurant and said his name was Yukiyatsu Ryudo.
I thought he was rather young to be a warrior, but...
He was young.
Well, he was definitely a respectable two-sworded samurai. His short sword in particular was rather impressive. Even with my untrained eye, I could see that.
He had 2 swords?
Yes, and after he'd eaten his fill of eel, he left. I just turned my back on him for a second.
This problem isn't going to go away quietly, you know. I only dropped that incident with his dead friend because there wasn't any reward in it. But this time, the only problem with this is that Ryudo doesn't carry a sword. That's true. But just how many men named Yukiyatsu Ryudo do you think are out there in this world?
Ryudo has been here all morning. He was with me.
This is a baseless accusation.
All right. If this accusation is false, then who's wolfing down 7 eels and using your name?
I don't know.
Is this about the Yukiyatsu imposter?
The person I saw earlier today would fit the bill. Exactly how is this man related to you?
I'm afraid I have no idea.
It was a kid?
Yeah, he was a child warrior, about 10 years old.
And this kid walked in and said his name was Yukiyatsu Ryudo?
Yeah, that's right. Did I forget to mention the kid part?
Listen, I need to get back.
I told you, it's right around the corner.
I don't want fancy hairpins, and it's important that I get back before we open.
It's not really that important. Huh?
Hey, come back here.
Tell me, are you the son of a warrior?
If so, what are you doing wearing swords that are way too big for you?
Because I'm a warrior.
Fine then, if you're the son of a warrior, you should apologize. You splashed us with mud and you didn't say a word.
When a warrior runs, it's evidence of an emergency. Did no one ever teach you not to run unless it's necessary? When you run, it alarms the townspeople.
Is that true? Because Yukiatsu runs all the time.
I don't know. My father just bought the title from a fire constable. Before that, he sold rice.
What do you... I mean, how dare you say that I'm ignorant of the warrior's code?
What's wrong? Bow down to us and apologize.
Do that and we'll forgive you.
A warrior doesn't bow his head. He only bows to express loyalty.
Little brat.
My name is Yukiatsu Ryudo. Now draw!
Kyosai!
Come on, gentlemen, are you really gonna draw your sword against a kid?
Stay out of this. This is just between warriors.
I don't want to fight that kid.
I didn't even draw my sword. It just acted on its own.
Don't make it worse. And what are you doing calling yourself Ryudo?
Come on!
What's happening?
A Yoi!
Hey, that's...
Hey!
Kyosai!
Stay back. Chances are that kid is a Yoi, too.
The blade that boy used is exactly like Yukiatsu's blade. And they have the same name.
He mumbled something odd. Something about no longer being Yukiatsu Ryudo.
There's a legend that comes from the West. It's based on the belief that everyone has a double, a shadow self if you will, and it is imperative that these two beings must never meet.
Why is that?
According to the legend, if you meet that shadow, you die.
Ryudo, your home is up over there, correct?
On second thought, just drop me here.
What's wrong?
According to what the police hand turned up, there's only one house in all of Edo with the name Ryudo, and it's yours. They may have some insight on who's going around using your name.
It's been too long. I can't go home.
Why not? You're acting like a child who's still afraid to face up to his own mother.
Well, of course he's afraid. He hasn't been home in 25 years. His parents may be dead by now. And plus, there's a chance he'll get there and find the real Yukiatsu Ryudo.
And no, that thought occurred to me too. What if the real Master Yukiatsu is still at home, playing the dutiful warrior? And I'm just... a Kumoshichi.
Why must they do this in the middle of the city?
Yukiatsu! I have something I need to ask you!
Otto, what's wrong?
I was wondering, do you have any children by chance?
What? Huh?
So now we have a child, Yukiatsu.
That's not the same Yukiatsu that Saizo and I encountered. That man was a samurai, apparently in his early 30s.
So we have the man that Genbatsu and I know of, and there's a 10-year-old boy too? Just how many Yukiatsu Ryudos are out there?
Well, I think the eel incident may have been the work of the 10-year-old boy.
Then all we gotta do is nab that kid and find out for sure. Otto, let's go.
Hold on, what about going to your house?
I'm going to deal with that brat first.
I'm going to go with them too!
Excuse me.
Barbarian Knowledge Enforcement? I've never heard of that particular office before.
It was just established at the beginning of this year. It was spearheaded by the finance magistrate, Lord Otobe of Noto.
Well, Master Yukiatsu Ryudo is definitely the present head of this house. Has something happened to him by chance?
So then you're saying there's another man named Yukiatsu Ryudo living in this house?
Another one?
According to the information we have, Yukiatsu Ryudo left 25 years ago.
Being officials, you'd have access to that information. But we did file the adoption notice.
Adoption?
What made you leave home in the first place? Is there some reason you can't go back?
It happened when I was about 12.
Mother? I'm sorry, I was careless.
So yeah, I think you've spent enough time in the training hall.
What?
This house only has one child, and that child is you. I'm sorry, but if something should happen to you, who would carry on the Ryudo house?
Father, we're a warrior house, and a vassal of the Shogun at that. Which means it's our duty to fight for the House of Tokugawa when the need arises. So then, learning the way of the sword should be my first priority, shouldn't it?
Yes, but wielding swords can be left to lower-level soldiers like retainers.
It is as your mother says. The Ryudo house has served the shogunate as scholars for multiple generations, and you too must learn every book in this room before you turn 15. It is important that you receive Rector Jusai Hayashi's approval. That way you can become a preceptor at Yushima Temple.
But Father, I really enjoy swordsmanship!
Soya, if I let you do that, what would happen to the scholarly pursuits long upheld by the Ryudo house? Would you abandon them?
It was after that when it finally hit me. Up until that point, I had always thought tomorrow held unknown possibilities. And even though the world was at peace right then, if war broke out, they would need me and my sword. But I could just forget about tomorrow. I was to succeed my father into the service of the Shogun, get married and have children, then turn around, pass that same tradition on to my children, and die. That wasn't just my fate. That holds true for every warrior.
You're right. For a warrior, the house is everything. He protects the house and passes down the stipend to the next head.
Well, what if you don't want to be the next family head?
You lose both your home and your livelihood. Your only choice is to sell your title to a merchant. But that kind of money won't last you very long.
It was just odd. The idea that everything beyond tomorrow was already set in stone was incomprehensible to me at the time.
That's the sword that gets handed down to every new generation of the Ryudo house. But what's it really for? It's way too short. There's no way my father could use this. But it fits me just fine. I'll take it. And go. But where to?
Soya, your dinner's ready.
Soya? Soya!
I don't remember what I saw in the other world.
Madam! Madam! Soya! Soya!
It had been a year since I disappeared. The other world held me captive that entire time. But for me, it had just been an instant. After that, my mother never let me out of her sight. I was watched constantly.
Well, sure. That's only natural.
I found it stifling. I was sure if the other world came for me again, I wouldn't be able to resist it, and that scared me. I was afraid that if I stayed in that house much longer, I would once again summon that place.
If you had actually wished for it, it would have come.
At 15, on the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, I put my hair in a top knot and received my name from my father. And that was the very last thing I took from him. That night, I decided to leave my house, and I thought I'd never go back.
All right, enough already. Who are you?
Are you really Yukiyatsu Ryudo?
Yeah, of course.
No, you're not. You're a Yoi. That's what I thought. You saw it. This kid's a Yoi going around pretending to be you.
So is that right? Are you a Yoi?
I am Yukiyatsu Ryudo.
Where did you get that sword?
This sword was something given to me along with my name.
Huh? What are you talking about?
It's mine. I met this man who said the name Yukiyatsu Ryudo was too much to bear. He said the same thing about this short sword. Then he said if I wanted, I could have them both.
This man really told you all this?
I've wanted to be a warrior my whole life, and I knew someday I would. And the Buddha must have seen fit to grant me that. So I got a cheap sword secondhand to complete the set. And now I'm a warrior.
You became a warrior and the first thing you did was skip out on your dinner bell?
I too am Yukiyatsu Ryudo. Now why don't you tell me your real name?
Toshizo. Toshizo Ichikara.
Well, I hate to tell you this, kid, but you've got to get this sword back. What is this?
Kana, she?
A Yoi, huh?
That's the same battle axe.
He disappeared.
There's a Yoi in my family's sword. I don't believe it.
The issue at the Ryudo house has been resolved. When they lost their heir, they adopted a son from a family they knew, and it seems they renamed the adopted son Yukiyatsu Ryudo as well.
It's pretty simple when you know the truth. He's not a monster or some shadow of me. He's a respectable Master Yukiatsu Ryudo. He's an adopted son who's gone on to become the next head of the house.
It seems this adopted son has not returned to the estate for 2 days now.
Then that would mean it was the adopted son who gave his name and the family's short sword to that Toshizo boy.
What's this all about? You were spirited away to the other world as a boy. 25 years later, a man with the same name disappears, and then a child gets that name and starts turning swords into yoi.
You know, it's as if the curse from the other world, which began with Yukiatsu, is making its way through the entire Ryudo house.
Ryudo, wait!
Saizo?
It's cotton, but we ironed it the best we could.
It's been 25 years since you went back to your house, right?
You need to look good when you go back, or you'll embarrass the boss and the Ayashi.
How did you know that I was gonna go back?
They had to adopt a son because you chose to leave that house. And now hearing something has gone wrong with that son, you'll have to go back and do something about it. That's who you are.
You were just looking for an excuse to return home anyway.
Abi and I will take care of the child Yukiatsu.
The character Shi, in the word for warrior, refers to a small battle axe carried by a samurai who serves the king. What is the real source of that yoi? The adopted son who has disappeared? Or that child? Or is it something Ryudo brought back?
You're back, Yukiatsu.
She. So, the character in your name stands for a samurai, huh? Well, I too will be a samurai! The greatest warrior ever!
An eternal slumber similar to the other world. Warm and gentle, it envelops everything. But that sweet place will never come again. That place atop a mother's lap. Chapter 20, Shinobazu Pond Lullaby.